So, patterns are everywhere. In math, if you can identify a pattern, you can then do things more easily later on, right? If you've done stuff in the past and you say, oh, I've done this before, is it easier to do it in the future? Yes, if you identify a pattern to something going wrong, you can figure it out and then try to avoid mistakes or whatever in the future. Yesterday, my son and I went on an errand, and it's actually to go to your neighbors and pick up a TV from Craig. He had a TV he was giving away, and my oldest son was going to take it to college. So we drove down there right before the storm, and a minute or two after we left, my wife called me and said, hey, there's something beeping downstairs. What is it? Well, I'm not downstairs. It wasn't beeping before. I have no idea. I said, is it a smoke alarm? They're like, well, we don't think so. Is it a computer alarm? Sometimes that happens. And so while we were gone, they investigated. It wasn't a smoke alarm. They took the computers and investigated. It wasn't computers. They couldn't figure out where it was coming from. And then they figured out it was a little monitor that was like a low battery. And so they figured that out. And it hasn't been a low battery before, so they didn't know the noise. But identifying the pattern, they said about every 30 seconds it's going off. So you got to wait. Okay, 30, okay, where is it? You got to do it quick or else the sound goes away. So identifying the pattern helps you figure it out. Now, I have some patterns with names. And these names are the names of my children. So on 2299, what month is that? February, very good. February 2nd of 99. What special day is that? It's a holiday, quote unquote. And we celebrate it every year. You've heard of it, I guarantee it.
Valentine's Day.
Say it again, John.
Valentine's Day.
Nope, that's February 14th. Close. It is a day. What?
Just kidding, that's 2:14.
It's about an animal. What animal do we celebrate? Groundhog's Day. Yes, so Groundhog's Day, February 2nd, 1999. My first son was born. How old is he now? 21. Just turned 21 on February 2nd. So his name is Harrison Henry Saney. He was born our first child in 1999. So how did we get his name? Well, named after both of my grandpas. One grandpa was called Harry, and it wasn't Harrison. His name was just Harry. That's the way he was born. My other grandpa's name was Henry. So we elongated, did the formal name Harrison Henry. My dad's middle name is Henry, so Henry's kind of a family name. But we pulled names from our family to honor those people that kind of created us, so to speak. His initials, and I'm just pointing out some things, his initials HHS. So when we go like to Hampton High School or to Henderson High School, we have cool initials, and then Harrison likes that. So that's kind of nice. Now, notice that I'm just pointing out things. Harrison ends with a son, right? And what that means is it's son of Harry, which my name's not Harry, but that's what Harrison means, going back in the old days. Now, it is a presidential name. There is a president. Our ninth one was William Henry Harrison. Now, I did not know this before we named him. So he is Harrison Henry, and he is Henry Harrison. So kind of a cool tie in there. That was our ninth president. And then cool, crazy things, Benjamin Harrison was our 23rd president. He was a grandson of William Henry Harrison. So kind of cool little tie there with presidential names. Now we fast forward how many years? 2 years, 4/23/01, which is kind of cool, 01, 2, 3, 4. What month is the fourth month? April, so April 23rd, 2001, our second child was born. Now, we did not know if it was going to be a boy or girl. We did not find out. We knew with Harrison, so we had the names picked out. We had Jackson Keith Saney on April 23rd, 2001. Now, he was actually just baby Sandy at the hospital for a couple days because we could not decide on a name. Number one, we didn't know if he was going to be a boy or a girl, so we had a couple names we were going to go with. Number two, we couldn't decide at first if he was a Jackson. We had to look at him and say, oh, yeah, he's a Jackson. The reason why, remember when I was talking about when I taught in Iowa, there was a guy named Matt that taught music, and my name's Mitch, and I taught math, and the superintendent got my name confused. Well, when I started teaching here, I was teaching math, and then there was a Mitch right next door that started with us that was teaching English. And so that Mitch and I were talking about babies, and he said, oh, my wife really likes the name Jackson. They hadn't had any kids. We had the one. And I was like, uh-oh, my wife said she liked the name Jackson. So the race was on. Who was going to have a baby boy first? Guess who won the race?
You.
No, he did. But then we decided, you know what? They're going to be, maybe moving away. We might move on. Who knows? Although it's here to stay, I thought. But we didn't know. Didn't care. We said, no, we're going to call him Jackson. They actually then called their son JR, and they moved away. So it wasn't that big of a deal. And now there's plenty of Jacksons going around. It's a great name. So here's the deal. His middle name was taken from my father-in-law's first name, my wife's dad. So Grandpa has the name Keith, so we kept that name in the family. If you notice, JKS, joking aside, JKS is initials. His name ends in son, just like Harrison. So pattern is starting. And then what else do you know about the name Jackson? It's a president name. Presidential name. Andrew Jackson was our 7th president. Okay? So here's the deal. We now have some patterns establishing. We did not plan this. I did not say 30 years ago, these are going to be my kids' names. It just kind of evolved. And like, okay, we got to follow the pattern now. So here's the deal. This crazy little side note. Do you know there is a Mitchell, Nebraska? That's my first name. Do you know that? Does anybody know where Mitchell, Nebraska is? Raise your hand if you know where Mitchell, Nebraska is. There's only 2 people I know of for sure in here. One is me, and the other is Mr. Berkey, because he's from a town just south of Mitchell, Nebraska. Anybody know? Anybody know? It's off the beaten path. It's out in the Panhandle. Where's the Panhandle? Out here near Scotts Bluff, and it's actually just north of Scotts Bluff. Little blip on the radar, Mitchell, Nebraska. So kind of cool. I remember when I was in high school, we were driving up in South Dakota, and we stopped at Mitchell, and I posed by the sign leading into the town. That's my name. They named it after me, apparently. Maybe I was named after me. I don't know. Okay? Now, crazy thing, there's a Harrison, Nebraska. Does anybody know where Harrison, Nebraska is? She's pointing to the map, and it should be pointing to about, you're pointing right here? Right here? Nope, it's actually right here. Just north of Scotts Bluff. North of Mitchell is Harrison on Highway 20. Harrison is the last little town you go through before, raise your hand, before you go into what state? Nice one. What state's just to the west?
Colorado.
Colorado is incorrect. Colorado is down here below the Panhandle. That is Colorado. Yes. Say it again. Kansas is actually south of us. South of us, that's Kansas. Ethan. Say it again. Wyoming is correct. Very good. So Wyoming's right here. The last little town on Highway 20 before you go into Wyoming is Harrison. Okay? So on the same highway, which doesn't show up on this map, but they're really close to each other. Now, crazy story. Guess what? There's a Jackson, Nebraska too. And I didn't know about Jackson, Nebraska until Jackson was like 1 or 2 years old. A story in the newspaper talked about how Jackson had a tornado and it ruined, it tore up businesses, tore up homes, and it tore up their school. Okay? And like some kids, oh, that'd be so cool if a tornado came through. Then we wouldn't have school. Is that true? No, we'd still have school. And they had to go to school in little groups at the library, at churches, at other businesses. In little groups. Like this one class, we'd go meet somewhere. We'd still have class, but I'd have to teach you all the subjects. Would that be a good deal?
No.
No, and you wouldn't get to see any of your other friends. So very sad, very bad situation. But they've recovered, and I think things are better there now. So here's the deal. Jackson, does anybody know where Jackson, Nebraska is? Probably not, but here's the crazy thing. If you follow Highway 20 and go along the north part, which we have some relatives that live here, Valentine is like up here, curve along, go down, do Highway 20. Jackson is the last little town you go through before you go into what state is to our east? Iowa, very good. What state is to our north? South Dakota, very good. What state is down to the south and east? Another MIS. Missouri is down over there. Okay, a little geography for us. So here's the deal. All of us are towns in Nebraska. All of us, except for me, are presidents, ending in un, Harrison Jackson. So now, on 7/15/05, which is how many years later after Jackson? 4 years. So how many years between Harrison and Jackson? Remember? 2. So there's 2 years between them, then 4 years between our third boy. On 7/15/05, notice they're all odd years, we have our third boy. Okay? So now, here's the deal. We knew he was going to be a boy. We weren't for sure about the name until we said, yeah, that's got to be it. So if you know his name, don't blurt it out. If you know his name, don't say it. Don't give it away. Hide your secret. We got to follow some patterns. It's got to be a presidential name. Got to end in son, right? Harrison, Jackson. Needs to be a town in Nebraska. Oh. Now, a family friend of ours who lives right across the street from Ashton, who we just visited yesterday, she was in Elm Creek shopping. This is Jody. She was shopping. She was looking at the antique store, and she came across these street signs. She's like, oh, my goodness. I have a family. They just had their third boy, and I just found a sign that says Harrison. And she was thumbing through. Oh, Harrison, they would love this. This would be super cool. So she's thumbing through and finds this sign. Then she's thumbing through more signs, all these different signs from old street signs. And she finds this sign, Jackson. And she's like, oh my goodness. So she's thumbing through looking for the name of our third child, and she can't find it. So she asked the owner, said, hey, do you know, do you have a sign that says this? Because he's already been born. She's looking for it. It's like, you know what? We have more signs in the back. Let me go look. So she goes to the back, and they find a sign for our third boy. Now, what could his name be? Presidential name, ends in son, town in Nebraska. Say what? Peterson. That's a good guess. It fits, but I don't think it's a presidential name. I don't think there's a town in Nebraska. So it fits one of the 3. What else?
Garrison? Austin.
Garrison. That's a good guess, but again, there's no President Garrison yet.
Thomason.
What? Thomason? Is that what you're saying?
Don't you say like the president?
Washington?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that would work, but I don't know of a town in Nebraska named Washington.
I don't like that.
Now, with the girl, and many family friends are like, oh, if you have a girl, she should be named this. Starts with an M.
Madison.
Madison would be a good girl's name,
Mason.
right? Mason could be, but there's no President Mason. So here's the deal. We change it just a little bit. The pattern changes a little bit, but it still fits. If we change the rule just a little bit, it fits presidential, fits that it's a town in Nebraska. What we have to do is not put an S on there and it ends in un.
Oh.
So what's a presidential name? Town in Nebraska, ends in un. Yes, Lauren.
Lincoln.
Say it again. Lincoln is
We would have
correct.
got that if you would.
Not crazy? Okay. So yes, our third boy is named Lincoln. He's a freshman at the high school. Okay? Those are actual street signs. They've been banged up a little bit. I don't know exactly where. Now, why would they have street signs with these names on?
Because they're streets.
Well, here's the deal. Back in the olden days, when they started naming streets, they named them after famous people. And presidential people were famous people, so a lot of the streets are named after presidents. People got confused, like in Kearney, we have numbers so then you can count your way and you don't know. So if we know you're on 17th, well, that's close to 16th. You know other numbers, you can figure out that way. So we have avenues and streets, but old towns, small towns would name them after presidents. In Omaha, there's a big thoroughfare named Harrison Street. If you go into Omaha, you'll see that as you're going in. So they're found here and there. So here's the deal. His name is actually Lincoln Mitchell, Sandy. Now, this time, what did we do with the middle name? My name. So we tied in the family that way. So here's the deal. For years, for 14 years, I had this if question. I said, if we had another child, what would his or her name have to be? And we say Madison. Another name that pops up sometimes is Nixon, right? Nixon was the president, although he had to be kicked out. Ends in un, but there's no Nixon, Nebraska. Another name that people had suggested, Clinton, Bill Clinton. He actually visited Kearney many years ago. He gave teachers a little flag, which I still have the flag from when he visited. He stopped by, actually. I got to shake Bill Clinton's hand, which is kind of cool. His entourage of security people. It was like, I don't know, maybe 10 black Suburbans driving, snaking through Kearney. They had roads closed, but he was going down to UNK to talk, and he was driving down on this road over here by the bottom field. We were able to go out there, and we were on the other side of the fence, but he got out and he shook hands. I got to shake his hand over the fence down there by the stop sign. Kind of an honor. Not many people get to see a president, let alone shake their hand. But the coolest thing was there was like helicopters flying over for security. In the back of the Suburban, they had the doors open. There was a guy squat down back there with like an assault rifle ready. They said no sudden moves, no messing around. You should not act strange because they will take you out. And they said, be cool, whatever. Don't mess around. So that was kind of interesting. And like, oh my goodness, the kid's eyes are huge, but it was kind of a neat deal. So Clinton, yeah, we didn't say Clinton. Madison could be a name. Now, when would they have been born? Well, if you follow the pattern, 2 years between our first two, 4 years between our second and third. So another space could be what? 2, 4, could go back to 2. Could be 6. 6 would work. Or 8, we double, right? So 8 years. So either in 09 or 13, we would have had another baby. So for years, we're like, if we had another baby, what would we name? Well, guess what? My wife and I just had a baby 3 months ago. To break the pattern, a little bit different. There's 21 years between our oldest and our youngest now. He's 3 months old. He was born 5/5/2020. Okay? What do you know about 5/5? It's a special day, another day of celebration. 5/5. Cinco de Mayo, very good. So he was born on Cinco de Mayo. He was born at 5:27 a.m. He was 5 pounds 7 ounces. Notice all the fives. I like that. And I like. Remember, Harrison was born 2/2/99. He's born 5/5/2020. Now, to be honest, I was hoping he would be born a day before. My wife was in the hospital the day before. I believe it was a Monday, although it seems like 100 years ago. 5/4. What's so special about the day before 5/5? May 4th. Why would I like that?
May the 4th be with you.
Very good. So several years ago, they started that little joke, May the Force be with you, right? That's what they say in Star Wars. So May the 4th. So I was thinking, we might have this baby on May the 4th, which would have been cool. 5/4/2020, 5 times 4 is 20. But I like this one better because it's like Harrison's birthday. So it's full circle. It's 5/5/2020. He was born on 2/2/99. So here's the deal. Here's a picture of him, a couple of them. He's a cute little guy. He was very skinny and very little when he was born. He was a month premature, but everything came out. He was perfect. He started putting on weight, and now he's a little chunk-a-lunk. I think yesterday he was about 15 pounds when I weighed him. So what is his name? Did we follow the pattern? Did we name him one of the names we said? Well, we changed it up again, but it's very close. So his name is actually Hayes Benjamin. Okay? Hayes Benjamin Sanny. And does he fit? Well, we had Rutherford B. Hayes, which was our 19th president. Remember Benjamin Harrison, the grandson of William Henry Harrison, our 23rd president. So we have Hayes Benjamin. There is a Hayes Center, Nebraska. His middle name has the "un," and his great-great-grandpa was James Benjamin. Okay? So, kind of cool. And we didn't know about the great-great-grandpa until after he was born, and we said the name, and we're like, oh, cool connection there. Now, his nickname, which the other boys didn't really have nicknames, the neighbor, Craig, Craig Ashton, he calls our boys the presidents. And now they call Hayes Benjamin HB. So that's his little nickname from that. How's HB doing? So, he's doing great. And here's a picture. Some people might look familiar in there. Guess when I took that picture? This morning. We went out there, he on a Denver Nuggets little onesie. We have jumped on board the Denver Nuggets fandom. They actually played today at 12:30 in the first round of the playoffs in the NBA. So we are now fans of the Denver Nuggets, and we're making HB be a fan as well. So now, does anyone know where Hayes Center? It's not just Hayes Center. There is a Hayes County. Does anybody know where Hayes Center is? Down by Beatrice? That's where I'm from, actually. I'm from Beatrice. I lived in Hastings for a little while when I was little. Born in Iowa over here, but grew up mainly in Beatrice. No, but it's not the southeast, but kind of the southwest. Where would that be? Not many towns down there, but McCook would be one. Hayes Center is about here, kind of south of North Platte, little town. Which leads us to our final. I guess that goes up. We adopted a dog. We'll talk about him in a second. And he was found somewhere around here near Benkelman, which is near McCook. But we adopted him from that area. So now, here's the how do you remember? Well, people always forget which one's which. Now they're grown and they're distinct, but when they were little, people would get them confused all the time. So how do you remember them? Well, let's look at a picture. This is Lincoln, who's a freshman. This is Jackson, who's going to be a sophomore in college. He's got a big mane of hair, and he's about 2 inches taller than I am. And then that's Harrison, who will be a senior at UNL. And Jackson goes to UNK. This was us out in the cornfield this summer, near what we find true and dear porta pot. And then this is the truck that moves around. Jackson and one of his buddies was in charge of moving those porta pots around. So how do you remember them? Well, here's the deal, alphabetically. And again, I did not plan this stuff, but it fit perfectly. Harrison, Jackson, Lincoln, and then Hayes. Full circle.
Oh my God.
Okay?
That's weird.
Harrison, Jackson, Lincoln, all in order. Again, I did not plan this, but it was like when we got to Lincoln, he has to be a Lincoln. It fits all these patterns. Now, do you remember the middle names? Harrison always wanted his middle name to be Ichabod. When he was little, why didn't you name me Harrison Ichabod? He would cry about it. He'd be very upset. Why didn't we name him? What was his middle name? It was after grandpa and my dad's middle name.
Oh,
Henry, very good. So he said, why not Ichabod? Because then it'd be Harrison Ichabod, Jackson Keith, Lincoln Mitchell. HIJKLM. Now, some people, and I thought our next child would have to be an N, right? LMNO. So it'd be like Nixon Oliphant or something like that. But we broke the pattern and we're cyclical now. So we start back there. Okay? So now in 2014, we adopted that dog. And again, it was near Hayes Center, near Finkelman. And what did we name the dog? This was before Hayes was in the picture. What did we name? Well, we had a couple different names that we wanted to, and then we decided one. What should his name be? Well, here's a picture of him. He was the nicest, sweetest little dog. He's probably, they thought, 8 or 9 years old when we found him. We had looked at the Kearney Humane Shelter for dogs, couldn't find one that fit us. We would drive to Grand Island multiple times to try and find the dog. One time, my wife said, "Oh, there's a new dog just popped up today. Its previous owner was an elderly person, passed away, which is very sad, but those dogs are trained. They're usually pretty gentle, usually pretty good." So we jumped in. It was like 4 o'clock. We drove over to Grand Island, sped along the way, under the speed limits, but I was pretty close pushing it. And we got to the Humane Center with like 10 minutes to spare, and we see the dog we wanted, and somebody else was holding them. And we asked people, "We're here for that dog." They're like, "Oh, sorry. If they want the dog, they have first pick." And then they ended up getting the dog. So we went months trying to find the dog. We had moved to a new house, and we had said, okay, within a year we'll get a new dog. And it was about 11 months into it when we finally found this guy. My wife found him down in McCook. They called him Tanner. We changed his name, and his name, I won't even make a guess, but Franklin Grover. Okay? Franklin Delano Roosevelt and Grover Cleveland, presidents. We were oscillating between Franklin and Grover. Some of us like Grover, some of us like Franklin, so we made Grover his middle name. But Franklin was just the sweetest dog in the world. I didn't like dogs. When I was little, I had bad experiences with dogs. I told QT homeroom about that, but did I tell him in this class? No. Okay, so when I was young, I would say maybe upper elementary, maybe junior high, middle school, we got a dog named Tippy. And Tippy grew to be a pretty big dog. And just in the few months that we had her, Tippy would like jump on me and tackle me. And not good. And I'd cry and whatever else. And so my parents said, "Oh, we'll get rid of Tippy." And my dad knew some farmers, gave Tippy to a farmer. Shortly after, they got another dog, a cute little black furry dog named Trixie. Okay? And I think I named these dogs. I don't know. But so we had Trixie. Trixie was the cutest little dog. We lived out in the country. And so she had kind of free roam going around. We had a next door neighbor, and this summer that it was, the flies were horrible, and they wanted some fly poison. We had some fly poison. We gave them the fly poison, and they put it down on the ground. My dog went and ate the fly poison and like died in front of me, convulsed and vomited. It was horrific. It was sad. I didn't like it. Dogs, no good. We had to give away one. The second one we got died in front of me. I mean, I'm traumatized still to this day. So my parents said, oh, what will relieve that? Another dog. So we got a third dog, and this dog's name was Tootie. So Tippy, Trixie, and Tootie. Again, I think I named them, I don't know. But we had Tootie, another cute little dog, didn't tackle me. We hid the fly poison, but I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 months later, there's a road leading to a field behind us. She got ran over by a truck. And I saw it, all right? And again, so growing up, do you think I like dogs? No, I hated dogs because they always died, you know? So we stayed away from dogs. When the boys were younger, we got this dog for free at our old house. We named her Ruby, but she got to be huge and more than what we could manage, so we gave her to a family in Arapahoe. But we met Franklin, and Franklin was the sweetest, nicest little dog. He had abandonment issues, though. He like connected with me, and I connected with him. Wherever I was, he was. When I went and sat down on the couch, he would jump up on the couch early on, or he'd sit by my feet. If I got up and left and he woke up and he realized I was gone, he would just howl, the most sorrowful howl in the world. He didn't want to be left alone. If we were in the kitchen and he was in the kitchen, we left, he would start howling because he didn't know where we went. As he got older, and we got him about maybe 8 or 9, we knew that because the veterinarian, I was going to say dentist, the veterinarian said his teeth were just corroded. They went in to clean it. His breath was horrible. They went in and cleaned his teeth, and they're like, oh, we're going to have to pull like half of his teeth because they're rotted out. So they pulled the teeth. As he got older, his eyesight began to be very bad. We could let him out, and he would go out, go potty poopy, come back and paw at the door. But as he got older, he would like paw at the side of the house. He wouldn't know where the door was. So kind of sad. And unfortunately, about a year ago, he had a stroke and he wasn't eating, and we had to put him down. But he was just the nicest little puppy. And that was a little over a year ago. And the boys were like, can we get a new puppy? Can we get a new puppy? And we said, no, we're going to do one better, a baby brother. So now we have Hayes with us. But now look at the initials. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, back to H. And honestly, if we didn't have a dog named Franklin, I would have said that would have been a good little boy name. Frankie would have been a cute little boy name. But you can't name your dog and your boy the same. So anyway, names, patterns, they show up everywhere. And the sooner you can recognize those patterns, the better off you can be.